You're on the air with Florenza, your podcast destination for authentic conversations with a twist. So, grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and join me on this unique literary journey. Cheers!
During this episode of On the Air with Florenza, we're joined by the luminous Aurora Palit, author of Honey and Heat. This unforgettable story blends tenderness with fire, exploring love, longing, and the sweet sting of desire. With rich prose and emotional depth, Aurora delivers a tale that lingers long after the last page. Stay tuned as we unpack the inspirations behind her work and the magic woven into Honey and Heat. Put your hands together and welcome Aurora to the show. Thank you so much, Aurora, for joining me for this episode of On the Air with Florenza, where we are going to talk about your newest release, Honey and Heat. And also, I have some questions for your first release as well. We're just going to dive in to look at how they are different and how they connect and to get to know more about you and your journey. But before we do all of that, because boys and girls, my friend Aurora heard about me and she started the party early. Don't let that little smile fool you in that cute little mug, because girlfriend is over there sipping. So I have a little cab and it's actually chilled. I don't know what happened. My husband threw it in the fridge. So chilled cab, and let me see your mug because that looks so stinking cute. Oh,
It's a children's mug with a very non-children friendly drink inside.
so what do you have going on in there, Aurora? Curious minds want to know.
I've been having a pina colada summer. I've been drinking a lot of these. This one has a little bit of spiced rum inside, and it's delicious.
Good. Well, here you go, girlfriend. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh. Ooh. I need to get caught up because Aurora over there has been going at it. So I feel like I need a straw in mine just to get caught up.
My goodness. People are going to think I'm such a lush. I'm not, by the way, but for today I am.
I am, by the way. No, really, I'm not. That's the funny part. My husband's like, people are going to think you're drunk. I'm like, yeah, but that's how you know if you know me. Tell the listening audience a little bit about yourself and just give us that, oh my God, let me tell you about my book pitch.
Okay. My name is Aurora, and I am joining in from Canada today. And we are in a very rare heat wave, so I'm dying. I'm a romance writer, mostly contemporary romance for now. And I have a new book coming out in September. It's called Honey and Heat. It is, at its heart, an exploration of women and how we sometimes get horrible reputations when we're bossy, smart, aggressive, when we know what we want. It takes place in a corporate setting. It's about Cynthia Kumar, who has just worked her whole life towards earning her father's basically trust to be his successor, because he's going to retire soon and he has a multi-million company. And she finds out she has competition, and it turns out to be Rohit Patel, who she unknowingly spent a one-night stand with before knowing who he was. They're in competition for this job. She hates his guts, and eventually they end up having to work together because the company comes under target for poor work practices, and now they're saving the company together.
Nice. Now, how much of your writing is drawn from your life, or is it 100% truly not affiliated with Aurora at all?
I mean, it's a mix of both. I would love to be Cynthia when I grow up. She is so impressive as a human being. But personally, as I write and I explore writing, I have a really hard time completely separating myself. I feel like people who really know me will see bits and pieces of me in books, maybe not in the plot or the main character, but little happenings or little jokes. So there's a little bit of me in this. A lot of the feelings in Honey and Heat of how Cynthia struggles in the workplace that's male dominated. You know, it's a little bit of my experience. I've worked in corporate for a very long time, so there are little sprinklings of me, but mostly it's a work of fiction. And obviously, I don't know, when you get to the spicy scenes, do not picture me in your head.
Getting ready to ask, so what was it like with those spicy scenes and having family members who are less adventurous in their conversations say to you, are they like, Aurora, good job, girl, Aurora?
I feel like I've gotten such a range of really surprising reactions. Um, you know, my mom, I spent a long time prepping my mom for what happens in contemporary romance books because I write open door scenes.
Okay.
And she said she was cool with it, but she looked a little unsure. She's not a big reader. Then she read the book and she's like, oh, it's natural. That's what people do. And that's what sells books. And I'm like, okay, mother. And then, you know, I've also had a couple aunties like corner me at events, kind of slide their glasses down and be like, I read the whole thing, just so you know. I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I have the odd, right? And then I have the odd family member who's like, there should have been more. So
Nice. Your mother's like, honey, you got here some way. Don't get it twisted at all.
right?
Now, I would like to, if you don't mind, I want to go back to your first book for those who, like me, are brand new to the Aurora fan club, and we're looking to get acquainted with both of the books. And in your first book, we have Naomi and we have Dev. Now, tell us a little bit about the dynamics of those two characters and how you came to have the spinoff with Honey and Heat, where we're introduced again to Cynthia, but in a more dynamic way.
Sure. Well, first of all, welcome to the fan club. Your tattoo's in the mail. Secondly, Sunshine and Spice is my debut novel, and it follows Naomi Kelly, who comes from a little bit of a broken family. Her mother, was pregnant at a very young age, kind of had a falling out with her parents, left, had a baby. So Naomi really doesn't know where she comes from, both in a familial sense, but also culturally, because her mother doesn't really want to raise her daughter around the same customs that she felt was forced upon her. She's also, a struggling brand consultant striking out on her own, and she lands this gig with the Mukherjee family to revamp their family business. But they want it to be a South Asian business, which Naomi feels she's not equipped to deliver on, even though she shares the same heritage. So she decides to team up with Dave, who is the owner's son, to kind of get lessons and feel out what his mom's expectations will be for the new business, so it's a success. And in exchange, she agrees to pose as his fake girlfriend because his mom has decided to arrange his marriage and kind of against his will. So he needs a little bit of a deterrent. And so she's going to act as that deterrent.
Nice. Now, your books really do bring in a lot of cultural references and takes the reader outside of their own lived experience into this beautifully rich culture. How important is that for you as an author to share that aspect of yourself with your listeners and your readers?
I think, when I wrote Sunshine and Spice, I really wrote it without thinking it was going to get published. But personally, I've always been really interested in identity politics, especially for marginalized peoples. and a little bit of my own experiences in there. So I'm Bengali, so is Naomi, so is Dave in that first book. And it was just, me kind of digging into some of the microaggressions people experience every day, some of the cultural expectations that are hard to live up to, that in betweenness sometimes people have when they're children of immigrants. But in Honey and Heat, I went in a different direction. Cynthia is not Bengali. There's really nothing about Bengali culture in there. There's a little bit of the South Asian experience, but limited. I didn't want to focus on that.
Yeah.
So it's not so much that I feel like I'm sharing culture. It really depends on the character I write and what they're struggling with. But I'm also, a brown person living in a country with a lot of non-brown people. So I just know my perspective, I know my experience, and that's going to show up in my writing.
I want to tap into you were saying when you first wrote your first novel that the thought was not that it would get picked up. Walk us through that experience when you got that first nibble and you realized, holy moly, what just happened?
You know what? I don't know. I'm almost two books on the bookshelf, and I'm still a little bit like, holy moly, what just happened? Because it's very surreal. It's like a whole different world. I had written a book. I think I started writing in like 2017, around there. Wrote a book, had no idea about structure, beats, plot, anything. It was just a vibe. Went to query it, met some writing people. That was awesome. It obviously did not get picked up. It was a mess. And then I wrote Sunshine and Spice, almost to distract myself a little bit while querying that first novel. And I had some amazing writing friends who just kept pushing me. They're like, I think you have something special. I think you should, um, keep going. And I eventually submitted it into the Pitch Wars mentorship program.
Yeah.
It's no longer in existence, but I was in that last year, and I got to work with two amazing mentors, Regina Black, Nikki Payne, and they're throwing out words I've never heard of, like hook, slow burn, tension, and I'm just like, whoa! So I learned so much, and they really helped me, polish this manuscript and make it into like a viable, meaningful story. And yeah, that landed me my agent through the Pitch Wars showcase. And then we eventually sold to Berkeley, which was like a dream come true that I think I'm still like not really sure. Am I awake? Am I dreaming? I don't know. It's just incredible.
Nice. And I love the sequence of events that took place for you in that you had a desire, but you weren't afraid to continue to learn. And I think that's so important for those who are looking to come into this industry. You may have an amazing voice, but if you're not teachable or willing to learn from others, then there's only so far that you can get. Imagine a spice compatibility test. What three cultural or emotional spices would you assign to Cynthia and Rohit?
Ooh, you know what? Uh, Apologies to my mother and all her friends. I definitely dialed the spice up. So I would say there is cayenne in there for sure. It gets kind of hot. And faster. Cayenne kind of hits you really fast. Same with this book. There's kind of this like sweetness, feels like home feeling in this book. To me, that's like cardamom, maybe cinnamon, just that soft feeling. And then I don't know, maybe a little bit of like saffron. It's a colorful book. They have colorful banter between each other. So yeah. Wow, that is a tough question. What are you gonna say if I'm like, I don't cook? I don't know, salt.
Listen, now you've got this whole new line that you can do. You can go into like the whole seasoning thing.
Right.
I'm loving it. So your novel features awkward dancing, and this is the first one. Awkward dancing, matchmaking mishaps, and cultural nuances. Which scene would you happily reenact at a family reunion, and which one would you pray nobody ever brings up?
Well, you know, there's one scene with Garba, which is a style of dance, the one with the
Uh-huh.
sticks. I am, well, I'll just say it. I'm the best dancer in my family. I don't brag much, but I know what I am. So,
Oh,
you know,
nice.
I think like being around family can be a little overwhelming. So I feel like loud
Okay.
music, dancing. I would love to reenact that. I wrote it to be like a colorful Bollywood scene that just, everything's working at the same time. So yeah, for sure. Um, and the one that I would avoid at all costs. Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's that one scene. It's kind of the height of the book where secrets are revealed.
Uh-huh.
There's drama. There's aunties who are gossiping and finding out the truth. And I wrote it kind of funny, but it's actually quite cringy. And at that point, you love Naomi and you just want to protect her at all
Yeah.
costs. So
Oh,
probably that one.
I love that. In Honey and Heat, was there a moment where you were writing that absolutely made you laugh out loud? Like I'm talking, you just could not contain it.
Who's writing Honey and Heat? One does not stick out. I feel like Honey and Heat a little bit is a more serious novel. There's like less hijinks and more of this exploration of, women and working culture. There are some funny moments. I don't want to give too much away
Yeah.
because
Yep.
Cynthia gets
Absolutely.
herself in a little bit of trouble, but no, unfortunately, I can't say. But I also feel like, whenever I write novels and then my editor or my agent is like, okay, let's pitch it as a rom com. And I'm like, okay, let's not tell people it's funny. So it might not be funny, right? Like, I don't think I'm funny. I don't think I write funny. So I'm not entertaining myself with my writing,
Yes.
obviously.
I love it. I love it. Was there a point in writing Honey and Heat that the book itself took on a direction that even you were not prepared for?
Yes, I think I'm what they call a flashlight plotter.
Mhm.
In a few words, it just means I plot a little bit of it at a time, see where the story takes me, kind of like as far as a flashlight can look or see forward.
Mhm.
And I I don't know. I have such a loose idea of where the story is going to end. I don't like to think about it too deeply when I
Yeah.
start writing. This one went in a different direction. I kind of
Mhm.
thought she might, have a little bit of a falling out with some people, go a very different direction. Um, but there's something about romance. You want to leave readers feeling hopeful, not
Yeah.
too, broken up or like they're I don't know, like they lack closure. So I think I went a little bit more sweet at the end than I intended
Oh,
to originally.
I like that. Were Cynthia to manifest as a real person, and she's sitting down with you talking about the character that you developed for her, what would she say about the development of that character?
You know what? I think she would like it. I feel maybe she would have wanted it to be a little more confrontational, with the things she struggles with her
Uh-huh.
dad and words not said. Uh, I pulled back a little bit about from that only because I wanted her to get to a place where she really didn't care about others'
Mm,
opinions anymore.
mhm.
And she was just going to do what she wanted. And it didn't matter if, people approved, people liked her, whatever. But, she's unapologetic. She she has growth, but she still is gritty from the start till the end, even though we do see a softer side. So I think she'd be proud of it, like Cynthia does not hold back, and I think I wrote her like that, and I think she'd approve. I hope she would approve, I guess.
Nice. Talk to us about the family dynamic between Cynthia and her dad and the importance of delving into that relationship, especially in today's culture and time.
Their relationship is one of like, when children fall off a pedestal that their parents might have placed them on, she's this high performer, competitive, wins, smart, sporty, daddy's girl. And then something happens and she kind of falls off that pedestal. And she just never could get to the same place with her father after. And it kind of leads to this never ending upward climb to, earn back his trust, show him that, she's just like him. Mistakes do not make up the person she is as an adult. And I think there's something there, like there's a lot of pressure on women to be perfect and to do it all and not break a sweat and not make mistakes. There's a little bit in this novel about why are women and men held to different expectations when it comes to mistakes, and why is it harder for women to earn forgiveness? So there I think it's unfortunate that women live in these kind of boundaries and expectations, but it's certainly relevant, I think.
How was the choice of the setting with the corporate business beneficial in sharing the story that you wanted to share for the family dynamics? And how differently would that have been had it been a family ranch or the family being drug dealers? I don't know if that's your scene, but
Well, for the record, listeners, the drug dealing experience is not my scene. Just in case anyone wanted to know. I think there's something about, Cynthia is this competitive person and it just fit, the corporate world, and that's where she thrives. And you find in this novel, she's not thriving really outside of it. She doesn't have a lot of friends, keeps to herself, is lonely. And I think, family and business doesn't mix. I don't know. She has to learn for herself. Does it? Is that what she wants? And it's romance. I mean, the rivals to lovers trope in a workplace, like with the forced proximity of a workplace, it's just catnip. Like, who could resist?
If you weren't writing romance, what other genre would be a consideration for Aurora?
Ooh, I like all sorts of things. I have young kids, and some children's books I read to them just blow me away, and they can just teach kids so many things or push them into like feelings or ideas that they just really would never consider on their own. That would be super interesting. I love women's fiction. Yeah, I could see myself in maybe one of those two genres, but I love romance.
Yes. Oh.
I love the happy endings.
How much time did you give yourself to celebrate sunshine and heat before you jumped right into honey and heat?
I'm finding ever since I discovered writing books and the craft of writing, I always want to write. I feel good producing something, like some people look forward to watching TV at the end of the day. I look forward to like writing an idea out or a scene in my head. I think I wrote Honey and Heat when Sunshine and Spice was on submission. So
Oh,
it's
you
just
jumped
like,
right in.
right. And, like while we've been working on edits for Honey and Heat, I've been working on something else that I recently finished drafting. I think I wouldn't say I'm a workaholic, but I definitely thrive when I feel productive. And it just feels good. I think I need this creative outlet. So
Yeah.
for me, it's just, or I overschedule myself and I'm deeply unhappy. I don't know. One of the two. But yeah, I would say I'm taking a little break right now, but I'm already thinking about other things I'd like to write or try out. So I'm just always writing and drinking this rum, and that's my life.
What would young Aurora say to younger Aurora, say to you right now with where you are? And what would you say to your future self regarding your creative space?
I think a younger version of myself would warn, future self, do not stifle your creativity and lean into it. I grew up in a culture like Bengali culture, maybe not, I can't speak for all Bengali people, but my family, there's three options for jobs: doctor, engineer, lawyer.
Yeah.
Like they think about career, they think about stability, they think about financial security, and I never would have dreamed I would end up in this stream. And sometimes I feel a little sad that I didn't feel this was an option,
Mhm.
and rightfully so. South Asians in romance is relatively new still. The
Yeah.
genre has really started to diversify in the last 5 years or so, probably a bit longer, but I'm just saying I didn't read a lot of South Asian characters growing up, so I never would have thought of myself writing about them either. So, just keep your heart open. I really thought there was just certain paths for me, and now I'm on a different one, and it's awesome.
Talk to me about what it's like to know that you are now creating books that your younger self never imagined being.
It's a little mind blowing when people send me DMs, the ones that are like, I feel seen,
Yeah.
I feel like understood. I've never read a story like this that reminds me of like my family, and even people who write to me saying, this is actually hard to get to because it hits so close to home.
Mhm.
It's kind of incredible. You just when you're writing all the time, you don't really think about how your books are being consumed, or like it's all you think about, so you like
Right.
shove it to the back of your mind
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
kind of scary, but it means a lot. I can't believe something I wrote can have that effect on people, but I feel very blessed. I hate saying that because it sounds so like buzzword blessed,
Yeah.
but
No, it's
I
not
do feel
cliche. It's truth, right?
like it blows me away that people are connecting with these stories in their own way, and yeah, amazing. It's so great.
Yeah. Now you have littles or you have little ones yourself. What do they say? Are they old enough to understand who mommy is creatively, or are they at the age where you're mommy and that's it?
I have two boys. One is 8, one is 5. My 5-year-old gives zero fucks about life. Like he's typical second child, running around, does what he wants. But my eldest is a little bit like, not in these words.
Yeah.
Holy shit, you
Yeah.
have a book. Like I think, he's just learning to read. So I think that's kind of connecting things for him, that
Uh-huh.
like mommy's writing things that other people are reading. That's
Yeah.
so incredible. And I did a book launch for my debut novel, and he was 7 at the time, and he sat in the front row just like listening. And then afterwards, he wanted to like, I was signing books and he was passing them out to people.
Oh.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I just I'm so grateful, and he's a sensitive little boy, so it's kind of nice that I get to share this accomplishment with him. And
Uh-huh.
he asks like, "What are you writing next?" And it's very sweet.
Oh, oh, that's so sweet. The mother
It
in
is.
me is like,
Yeah. I mean, I love the second one, but again, the zero fucks part of it, like, yeah, but the eldest, he gets it. It's very
oh.
special.
Where are the listeners able to engage with you, connect with you, and become a fan of Aurora?
I'm predominantly on Instagram at Aurora Palit, hanging out, sharing weird stuff, sharing book stuff, obviously. I also have a newsletter on Substack, but take that with a grain of salt because I am terrible at writing the newsletters and sending them out. So the best place would be Instagram.
Okay. I love this question, so I'm going to ask it to you as well because you have such a diverse array of characters. If all of your characters were to show up, to include the characters from the first book that never saw the light of day, if all of your characters were to show up for a family event, let's say a wedding,
Okay.
who would stand up
and announce this is bullshit, and
Oh,
who would sit there taking pictures, talking about every single person that they're videotaping as they're videotaping it? Or are they one and the same?
okay. Well, this sounds like a wedding I would like to attend because it sounds hilarious. Cynthia for sure would stand up and be like, "This is bullshit," and she would walk away from it and never think of that again. You know, she's not going to second guess the social faux pas. She's fine.
Yes.
Um, Filming and gossiping, I want to say maybe Dave from Sunshine and Spice because he's,
Ooh.
you know what, he is like deep in it with his mom and his aunt and the other aunties, and just, you know, he hears the gossip. I'm sure he loves it. And he would have the best to share with his like commentary and all the guests too.
Hilarious. So we've come to the part of our show where I call one for the road. Oh, wait. Let me ask.
Sure.
Is there a question that you've not yet been asked that you were dying to be asked just so you can answer it?
About anything?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. That is, oh, I don't know. I I'm gonna say no, and then think about this for the rest of my life because I'm sure there are things. You know, yeah, I would love to just. So all my books have like a little questions for the readers at the end if they
Mhm.
want to discuss them or think about them. I would just love to be a fly in the wall when people discuss them because I really don't have answers in mind. I'd love to just hear, because some of them deep dive into like the more topical issues in
Yeah.
the book, not just the romance. So
Mhm.
yeah, not so much that I have a question I'm dying to answer, but I've put questions out there and I'd love to eavesdrop on people's
Ooh,
conversations.
that's good. I like that. Okay, now piggybacking on that, what is and you don't have to tell me who asked, but what is the most asinine, unbelievable question somebody has ever asked you to where you just want to throat punch them?
Throat punch. Oh man. Oh, I haven't had a good throat punch urge. No, I've had them recently. Never mind. I was gonna say in a while. They come all the time. Um, I wouldn't say throat punch, and I wouldn't call the question asinine, but I did meet. I had the opportunity to sit in with a book club
Mhm.
of all Bengali readers around my age, probably a little bit younger. And it was fascinating because they obviously engage with the Bengali content in a very specific way. And someone kind of brought up in Sunshine and Spice, I show two mothers who are kind of on two extremes with how they choose to raise their children and engage in Bengali culture. And they asked me, is which one do you think is the right way to do it? And I was like, oh,
Now
I
put
don't
me on
even
the
think,
spot.
right? Like, I don't know. I don't think I'm doing motherhood, you know, to the best every day. So, um, but it did kind of made me realize, like, once you write these books,
Yeah.
especially if you have specifics on culture or experiences,
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm not trying to paint myself as some kind of, you know, I
Expert.
have secret, yeah, expert or representation or secrets of the universe. I have none of that. But that sat on my mind because I'm like, I don't know how to answer questions like that. And I candidly told that person so, but it's stuck with me. This
Yeah.
idea of like, I'm writing about this. I don't, I'm not doing it so I represent
Yeah.
certain ideas or ideals, but
Yeah.
definitely stuck with me for a long time.
Yeah, and I can fully understand that. Okay, so we're going to get to our one for the road question. So take a gulp if you have any
Oh,
left in that cup, sister.
I can like, I'll just say, I'm
Slurp
a
it.
little buzzed. It's my husband's fault. He made this. I didn't think he'd put so much in here.
Blame it on the alcohol. Blame it on the. I told you I can't sing, but I do know the words. Okay, truth or dare, and I've got these mixed in. Truth or dare? Tell us one food-related disaster from your childhood that could have made it into Sunshine and Spice, but didn't.
So
I love that laugh.
I just find this so funny still. This isn't for my childhood. It's from when I was a new mom. And we had a baby, the first one. He was a little over a year. We put chicken wings in the oven, and then we put him to bed. And then at some point after he went to bed, we're kind of walking around the house, tidying up, and I'm like, one of the neighbors is doing a horrible job of dinner because they are burning the shit out of their food. I can smell it. It was us. It was like a charred mess because we forgot, you're so tired after the kids go to bed. Yeah.
Blaming a poor neighbor. It was you.
And so snotty about it too. Like, don't they know how to use an oven?
Apparently not, sister. Apparently not. True or false? You tried matchmaking someone else and it ended in chaos.
Oh, I've tried, but they didn't go for it. So we never got to the chaos stage.
Okay.
And I stand by, had they gone for it, they would have made it.
So they would have made it to Wedding Bells if they had listened.
Maybe. I mean, he was a nice guy. I think one of my best friends, I think it would have done it, but her loss because she wasn't interested.
Oh, darn it. Maybe she had more rum. Tell your husband to make her drink next time. Okay. And then this is truth or dare. Pitch your next rom-com's title only using 3 emojis and no words. Well, I can't do that one because you can't show me your emojis. That's going to go into the first segment. Don't know what the heck that was. Okay. Well, that sucks because that was my last one.
You know what? I
Yes.
could do it and tell you what the emojis are.
Okay, you go for it then, as I said.
Okay. The little ghost emoji.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only do this because, as I mentioned earlier, I just finished writing this book, so it's very fresh in my mind.
Okay.
Little ghost emoji. You know that happy face that is kissing and there's a little heart?
Yes.
The kissy little happy face. And then I'm sure there's a better emoji, but what comes to mind is the handcuffs. In a spicy way.
In a spicy way.
Yes.
Yes.
So those 3.
And your mama's listening. No. Thank you so much, Aurora. This has been so much fun.
Thank you for having me and encouraging me to drink responsibly.
Yes.
And this wraps up another episode of On the Air with Florenza. You may follow me on all social media platforms under Florenza Lee or via my website at florenza.org. Until next time, cheers.